Don't let a DUI charge ruin your life. Get a professional and confidential evaluation from our experienced team at True Heights Treatment. Our evaluations are accepted by the majority of courts in the state of Illinois and provide a comprehensive assessment of your substance use patterns and potential treatment needs. Get the help you need today and start your path to a brighter future. Contact us now to schedule your evaluation at 708-248-7039 or at thtdui.com.
The George Brassey Podcast is made possible with funding provided from Brassey Global Strategies, LLC, a leading political consulting, public policy, government affairs, and research firm. Are you interested in running for elected office? Need advice? Call or email George, 708-769-5015. Brassey Global Strategies 1 at gmail.com.
I'm so glad to welcome my friend, Alexandra Eidenberg, to the podcast. Alexandra, thanks for coming on.
I'm so excited to be here with you today, George. Thanks for having me.
Alexandra, can you tell the listeners, if they aren't familiar with who you are as a person, just who you are?
Sure. So Alexandra Eidenberg, born and raised in Chicago, now raising my 4 kids in Wilmette. I am a longtime community activist who loves supporting democratic causes. And I own an insurance agency, which fuels all my activism. And so I ride the roller coaster of the Affordable Care Act, helping businesses, families, individuals, folks over 65 get Medicare, everyone access the best possible healthcare at the best possible price.
Alexandra, what came first, your interest in politics or your interest in the insurance industry?
So, George, nobody's interested in insurance. Nobody, when they're a kid, is like, ooh, when I grow up, I want to be an insurance agent. And so insurance happened because at a very young age, I realized that my core genius was sales and that I wanted to have a direct relationship between how hard I work and how much money I could make. And so because of my skill set in sales, joining the world of insurance made sense because it's a residual income industry. And it allows me the opportunity to work when I want to work, but also coast when I want to coast and to harness an amazing team and create the time that I want in the community. I was born and raised in the community, though, helping out, volunteering. I, lived, breathed, and ate whatever the alderman, whatever it was going to take to get Democrats elected. I've been doing since I was a little tyke. Joke as well. I used to want to be mayor of Chicago. And so when I was 5 years old, I used to tell people when I grow up that I want to be the mayor of Chicago. Fast forward, we know how hard Lori's job is. And I'm glad that she's in that role and that I am in insurance. But yes, long-time engagement in the community. And I love what I do in insurance, but it was not the dream growing up.
Alexandra, what part of Chicago did you grow up in, and who are some of the figures that were influential to you when you were coming up at that time?
So, George, I grew up in Boys Town, later the St. Ben's community, and then later Portage Park. And I bought our first home. We also bought in Portage Park. And so I've dabbled in various parts of the north side of Chicago, and I love Chicago. I grew up spending a lot of time getting Jan Schakowsky elected. So that was really my first foray into campaigning. My grandfather was one of her larger fundraisers for her. This is, back when she was trying to break in and become a state representative and her various levels and things that she's done. And then as I got older and, I left, my own home where my parents were engaging us in things, I got very involved with whatever the Democratic organization was that's local. And I think that that's really important, George, is for folks to know that in their ward, in their township, in their community, there is a Democratic organization and you can engage in simple ways or big ways. You want to take a couple hours to do some phone banking, take a couple hours to go door to door. You want to attend a coffee date and listen. There's so many easy ways to engage, But for me, just leaning on the local organizations has been one of the biggest joys, because you can really plug in and help local leaders get elected. And I'm probably a glutton for punishment, but I love going door to door. It is the best multitasking. You get to exercise, talk to people, and help Democrats get elected. It's the winning combination.
How do you think your background in sales has helped the Democratic Party over your time being involved with it?
So I feel like nobody likes a salesperson. It's the same reason why nobody likes to go buy a car. But I think there's a balance in any sales. And for me, the reason why I love insurance and why I picked health insurance is because it's the one insurance you want people to use. We really don't want you to use your home insurance. We really don't want you to use your car insurance, because that means that there's a bad problem. But health insurance, it's more intimate. It is something we want people to use for them to feel confident. And so in my day-to-day sales life, I love the opportunity of helping people. And it's by helping them and educating them and bringing knowledge to them that helps them make high quality decisions for their families and their businesses. And it's kind of the same thing in politics, and it's the same thing in our community. If we're selling a Democratic candidate, if we're selling a Democratic cause, it's all about positioning. It's about education. It's about bringing the knowledge to the people so they can make decisions on what's best for them and what's best for their community. And you know what? Most of the time, people really kind of fall into that Democratic vein of wanting to help people and wanting to make sure that there's access for people. But of course, once in a while, I bump into a raging Republican that does not share my values, and that happens. And I think that in any sales, it's really important to know when to stop and when it's just not the right fit. And so in some scenarios, whatever the cause might be, recently, in recent time, I've gotten to help participate in raising minimum wage here. Watching what JB did in our communities was huge. And I was at the front line in Wilmette getting to help raise that wage and make sure that we were able to move that forward. And it really comes down to positioning and what education do we need to provide people to help them come to an answer that is similar in line with our values. And if we can't, to be okay with it and go to the next person. Because it's all about how many people can we touch and how many people can we rally for that cause. If it's raising minimum wage, if it's progressive taxes, if it's choice values, whatever the topic at the table is, it's about how do we educate and how do we empower.
Can you talk a little bit about how your identity as a mother and as a woman influences your politics?
We can only see through the lens we have. We often will try to stand in somebody else's shoes or to see through another lens, but the lens we see through best is our own. And as a woman, as a mom, this is the body I'm in. This is who I am and how I identify. Interestingly, George, when I think about my identity, I think about being a woman. I think about being a Jew. I think about being a business owner, and I think about being a mom. Like, those are kind of the key top ones. As any parent, mom or dad, you really begin to see the world through their eyes and what their needs are. And if it's advocating for their individual rights within the education system, if it's to make sure that they have access to parks, to water, whatever it might be, but also big picture stuff, George. And, right now, as we're looking at where things are going with choice and this big change that's about to happen in our community, is to think that I could legally have an abortion and might not be able to. That's scary to think that there's going to be that much of aggression. Also, when we think about the environment, I want my kids to have kids. My kids want to have kids. But if we continue on this trajectory with our environment, it's not going to be a place to have kids. And so being a parent, being a mom really helps you see bigger picture in different ways. You think about the needs that I have day to day, but it also is the future and making sure there's not only a place today, but that are people that are here for tomorrow when I'm no longer here. And so it comes down to hope. And I think that children for everyone, be it yours or another's, grandkids, kids, whoever, hope, and it's hope for our future. And so that definitely has helped me engage in the community. But I think the biggest thing that being a parent has done for me is it really helps me narrow in on what to say yes to and what to say no to. Because if I say yes, it could mean no to my kids. If I say yes to this, it can mean that maybe it's an opportunity I have to say no to for my kids. So it really, for me, helped me channel, where do I want to put my energy? Where do I want to put my time? And how does that best serve my business, the community, and my family all at once?
Elle, can you speak a little bit more about some of the threats to a woman's right to choose and your thoughts on that?
So the Republican Party has been so strategic for generations. I often think of Democratic campaigns and causes being like startup businesses. Every time we got something, we restart a business, we go through all the craze, and then we launch. Republicans run their party like a corporation. It is well oiled, it's a machine, it delivers time after time, it is very strategic. And the seeds that they have planted have created change locally and federally and really everywhere. And what they did with our Supreme Court, that strategy, it worked. And they're doing that in numerous places. If we look at school boards, library boards, we watch the Republican Party plant their seeds and amplify them. And I think what's really sad is that most Republicans are not, anti-choice. Many of them are pro-choice or at least support choice in some situations. And so we have a general population that really does support choice. But the Republicans that we've elected are far-right Republicans. Many are religious Republicans, and they are making an attempt to control women's bodies and to control that path for our future. What I always find to be interesting is that the communities that are most anti-choice also tend to be ones where they don't provide resources for young moms. They don't provide resources to care for their community. They don't have an influx of funds to help take care of children and the aftermath that happens from having kiddos that somebody did not want or was not ready for. So for me, watching the strategy of the Republican Party parlay into our day-to-day, it's terrifying. I do think this might have been the catalyst at this really critical election where our democracy balances. This might be the catalyst that gets people out to vote. This might be the little nudge that's needed in order to see that action. But the path is there. It's happening. Already we're seeing in multiple states the various rollbacks, like it being illegal to miscarry. George, I don't know about your family, but in order for me to have 4 kids, I've miscarried several times. It was a part of the process of growing my family. And to think that I could be arrested or my doctor be arrested because I miscarried, really scary times for women. And I think that, we talk about the mass exodus that's happened from Illinois. Oh, our taxes are so bad. This is so bad. This is so bad. I think we're going to see families exiting states where women do not feel safe. Women do not feel that their rights are heard. Women do not feel that they are, treated as an equal, that there's not equity in our communities. And the men that love those women and the men that are feminists are not going to want to live in those states either. And we're going to see educated families leaving these states and coming to states like Illinois, where it's safe and where we treat women as equals and we respect them and their bodies and their access to healthcare.
Alexandra, when you think about your role as a business owner and a progressive person, what's that like? Because in my time, a majority of the people that I know that have their own businesses are usually right-wing men. So what's it like being more of a left-wing business owner and a woman for you?
So I truly believe that we as people need to focus on our core genius and outsource the rest and be us because everybody else is taken. We can only be ourselves. And so in business, we can make the conscious decision to be somebody else, to act like something else, to attract whatever that attracts. Or we can go into our day-to-day and be who we want to be and attract the people that want to be around that. And so I think that the beauty of owning a business is getting to create that environment, getting to create that culture. And in the culture of the insurance people, kids are welcome. Moms get to have it all. They get to go pick their kids up from school. They get to have their kiddo with them in the background. They get to run the errands during the day. They get to catch up on their work when they have space and time. They get to go to the beach because it's the perfect, gorgeous day outside, because that's really what people deserve. And so I think as we look at culture that we create as business owners, it's a conscious choice on what we're doing. And yes, the vast majority of business owners are male, and they typically lean further to the right. I've had a couple clients over the years ask me, will I work with a Republican? Do I have Republican clients? And I have tons of Republican clients, but those same Republican clients get my email blasts that include events with Tammy Duckworth and events with, Congresswoman Robin Kelly. And if they don't like it, there's other agents out there. But I really believe that we attract what we are, and that when we act as our authentic selves, that's what we attract and bring in. And that creates a harmony for our clients, for the people that we interact with in our community, and our staff as well. And so for me, I have no shame in my game. If you don't want to work with a Democrat who's, a raging choice advocate, there's other agents out there. And I think that the mentality of, feeling that there's enough business to go around is always important for any business owner, George. If we're constantly worried about how we act and what that might attract, or this business or that business, I think that's where we end up in a position where we can't attract anything, because we're working on a fear-based knowledge versus being ourselves and being authentic and attracting the business that we deserve.
Alexandra, do you want to continue to grow the business, or does it feel like it's at its sweet spot right now?
Oh, we love growing the business over here. We just had a couple new hires start. I have another new hire starting next week. I don't like going around talking about my age, but I got another 30 years in the industry probably. And so I'm on the front end of my career still, I feel. I've been doing this for 18 years. I've had my own business for 12, but, we're a well-oiled machine. And I always kind of joke, I'm not a very creative person. I don't do anything creative. I took a wheel that was already rolling and I spin it faster. I spin it in a way that works for my staff and I, a way that works for our families, and a way that works for the communities. And so, like gangbusters, I could not be more proud of my staff. They're just absolutely amazing. They work so hard. We're on that work hard and play hard type mentality over here. But we're going to continue growing. And like I said, my core genius is sales. I love it. I am totally in my element. We love working with people. We're always taking on more and new business. My right hand at the agency, Sarah Hemachek, ends up taking on any of that overflow business where maybe I am doing a lot in the community. Maybe it's, the first day of early voting and I want to work the polls. Well, she'll make sure that our clients are well cared for. But George, as you know, as a business owner, it's all about keeping a full pipeline, and I'm always happy to help more people. And really, it's just a joy to work with folks and learn about their families and their businesses and their needs, and then find unique ways to meet those needs, all while being, cost savvy and thoughtful.
What do you think a lot of people misunderstand about health insurance?
I think the biggest thing that people misunderstand is that the Affordable Care Act is really the unaffordable Affordable Care Act. And it's hard to palate.
Can you speak more to that? What's unaffordable?
George. So the Affordable Care Act was an extremely that I'm highly supportive of. We are a nation that deserves to have access to healthcare for everyone. We should not hold back on covering pre-existing conditions. We should not limit policies. But we can't expect for-profit companies like Blue Cross and Aetna to take on unmitigated risk and not parlay that into other people's pockets. So they pay their providers less. They charge their customers more. They pay their agents less. They raise their deductibles. So we've created a process where for-profit companies are in charge of offering something that either the country would offer or a nonprofit would offer. And because they are not that, and they still have shareholders they're beholden to, it's driven rates to the roof. Now, if a family is middle to lower income, there's great access to financial aid through the Affordable Care Act, and that's beautiful. But the problem is that a lot of people don't qualify for that assistance. And because the plans are so overpriced, even if you get $500 assistance, $1,000, you could still be paying $1,500, $2,500 per month per family. And so it takes a family to be extremely low income to qualify for these things. And if you're a family of four making less than $40,000 a year and getting all that financial aid, it's amazing. But you're still a family of four making under $40,000 a year. And the Affordable Care Act is a delight when you're in these lower income levels. But the moment a family of four makes over 100,000, you're now into a range paying $1,500 to $2,500 a month. And it's completely unaffordable and plainly unacceptable in the United States that this is the juncture that we're at, where people's health insurance costs more than their mortgages.
Is the answer Medicaid for all?
I think there's a combination of answers. Some people talk about Medicaid for all, others talk about Medicare for all. At the end of the day, it's looking at a chassis that's provided by the government that gives at least one standard of healthcare to everyone, and then allowing opportunities to purchase add-ons. Currently with Medicare, which is the over 65 product, that product has supplements that you add on. So you can take the government portion, and then should you choose, you can add on various letters or an advantage plan in order to amplify your benefits. Medicaid is complementary insurance for those that are low income. There are no add-on products to Medicaid. It is a box of what you get. It's not a perfect box, but it is free insurance. And with that free insurance, you get what you get. And a lot of people love it. If you have a lot of health issues, it does not tend to work well. And that's where folks end up needing to buy insurance anyways. I think there's a marriage between those models that needs to be met. I think that we need to give the opportunity for people to add on supplements. Maybe they have a certain condition they want more coverage on. Maybe they want a certain provider that would only take a certain level of coverage. But at the end of the day, we're this amazing nation. And for us to be this amazing but not offer healthcare to our people is highly problematic.
Alexandra, the last question I always ask our guests are, what are two books that have been important to you as a person and why?
So the vast majority of my reading these days, George, really comes down to story time with my kids. I read a lot of news and I read a lot of children's books. And my favorite book of all time is The Giver, which is about a utopian world. In the lead, if you have not read it, there's a boy named Jonas, and he's navigating where his career is going to go through this utopian world. And this particular book was so impactful to me that I had intended to name my first child Jonas. And I was convinced I was going to have boys when I was pregnant with the girls. They ended up being girls, so I didn't have a Jonas. It was going to be Jonas and Owen when then we had the twins, but then it was girl twins. And then Owen was born and he got Owen, but there was, when Jack was born, he didn't look like a Jonas. And so we went with Jackson instead. But I had, in my entire life, I pictured having a child named Jonas because of this amazing book and how much it impacted me. But I don't have a Jonas, and we're 4 and done. So there will be no Jonas. But in my mind, there was always going to be a Jonas. So I love the book, The Giver. And then my other thing is that I think that it's just really about high quality moments with your children. And whatever book that might be for your family, I think that you should pick that path. And of course, I'd love to be doing a lot of personal reading, but I will say we've read the Harry Potter books so many times, and we have this like suitcase of them. It's just this really great box that the whole series is in. And, you know, the Harry Potter books are longer, but throughout my relationship with my husband, we've always been Harry Potter people. And prior to having kids, my husband and I used to read the Harry Potter books to each other. Then we had kids and we read the Harry Potter books to them. We've watched every single movie at least a jillion times to the point where we can, you know, reiterate every play of it. And my biggest takeaway from reading the books prior to seeing the movie is that I really pictured Hermione's hair being frizzier. And I feel like in the movies, her hair just did not do it justice. And this might just be because I'm a fellow curly-haired chick, but I really felt that Hermione's hair was going to be much frizzier and curlier than they did in the movies. But big fan of Harry Potter. And just reading with your children and enjoying them and enjoying those moments and those snuggles together.
Alexandra, if people wanted to learn more about you or your business, where would they find you on the internet?
So first of all, I'm a big Facebook girl. Feel free to friend me. You can look me up. My last name is EID as in dog, ENBERG. And you want to chat more about insurance or see all the cool things I have going on politically, it's at insuranceppl.com. That's our favorite. And the letters PPL, PamPamLauren.com. Connect, and I'd love to help.
Alexandra Eidenberg, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Thanks, George. It's been great being with you.
Take care.
Help George stay on the Chicago Heights City Council. Go and donate today at tinyurl.com/AldermanGeorge 2023.
Begin to transform your life and work towards inner peace with expert psychotherapy. At True Heights Treatment, our experienced therapists provide personalized, compassionate care to help you overcome life's challenges and reach your goals. Whether you're struggling with depression, anxiety, relationship issues, or other mental health concerns, our team is here to support you. With a warm and welcoming in-person and virtual office atmosphere and a commitment to person-centered and evidence-based treatments, we are dedicated to helping you address your life's challenges. Contact us now to schedule your first session at 708-248-7039 or online at trueheightstx.com. Book your appointment today and start your journey towards a happier, healthier life.
Need more George? Like his pages on Facebook. Friends of George Brassey PAC, Fifth Ward Business Alliance, Chicago Heights Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, and the George Brassey Podcast.